Okay. Trying again. It says that there's a 10-second delay. Let's do this again. And you have to leave the tab.
I think you're still live for me.
Are you on the right link? I'm on the one that I've been reloading and it has all of the people in it. So yeah.
Not on the one with all the people.
So then it's a different link. So we need to just
Yeah. Here's this link that I'm seeing you.
Okay. Cool. Can you just email that to me? Yeah, Gracie, can you email that to Megan really quick? Or to the BIPOC page? And then can somebody who has the social medias, can you repost this new link on all of the things and update the link tree to have this one? There's already a Stopline 3 webinar stream. Let me go on the for the meeting control.
I sent it to the BIPOC email. Do you see it?
Yep, I got it. Okay. So it should. Did it like 4 times. Okay. And can everybody still see the live stream? Gracie, is it still going?
Gracie, I don't think that link that you dropped works anymore because I think they stopped and restarted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then we would need a new link.
Let me find. Okay, I've got. From what it looks like, I've got the link that's gone. Yeah, I'm gonna text it in our chat too so they can see it. Everybody can still see my screen, but that's fine. Gracie, can you email or send that link that I just sent in the group chat to Megan?
Yes. Wait, where is it?
It's in the webinar chat.
Oh, okay. On the BIPOC email or on?
I just sent it to my BIPOC email.
Okay.
Did you send it?
Yeah. I think it just sent.
Okay. Oh. And then if y'all want to go around and start posting that new link on everything, just so that we can make that work. Go for it. You're fine.
You got this, Megan.
That's faster. Okay. So that should work now. We're just waiting for folks to come into this one. If folks just want to keep adding in that chat to come of the old Zoom to come to this Zoom, that would be super helpful.
Also, go ahead and Alex, apologies for this.
Yeah, this is super fun. We love this.
Y'all are good.
All right. And then if, what are you trying to do? Oh, gotcha. Can't. All right, cool. You want to, yeah, just like mass tweet out and story and shit. Oh yeah, okay. Whoa. Okay. Is it going up in that old chat for folks? Are you able to get to the new link?
Megan did not drop it, but I dropped it. But nobody knows who I am, so I don't know if people trust the link.
Link in there.
Yeah, we put the new link in the old chat a couple of times, but it wasn't working. But it looks like folks are coming in now, so it looks like it's working. Yeah, I was gonna say, of course.
I'm sharing to Facebook.
Yep. Nope, it's fine. All right, awesome. Cool. Okay, so did you get the first one? Everyone is posting about the new Zoom. I do have that open. It's an on. It's on. Okay. Okay. No, I do not share it on my Facebook. I don't know if anybody has.
Hi, everybody joining us. We'll probably give it like 5 more minutes just to, that's not the best count. Just to let folks move over to the new link and so we can do the sharing of everything and make sure that folks who wanted to come have the opportunity to.
Sorry that we suck with tech.
Wait, so should we post the second link to our story?
The one that we're currently live streaming from, Tara is about to do to the Facebook. If other people could maybe update the tweet and the Instagram post or just post it to the story with the new link. I've already updated the link tree to have the new link in it.
Okay.
Okay, hi everybody. We're gonna get started. We're the BIPOC Coalition, and we want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank Gweden and Alex for joining us as to be speakers during this event. Sorry, we've got some things moving around. We also want to thank you for waiting and apologies for all of the tech problems. We are using a friend's Zoom because we unfortunately just don't have access or the ability to have a Zoom premium right now or afford it. But we are started, and so just to start off. Please go. It's not clicking. So I'm going to start. We're going to start with a Land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we want to take a moment to recognize the BIPOC Coalition's presence on stolen land and state our commitment to achieving land back for the Ho-Chunk Nation and Indigenous peoples everywhere. For those of you attending around the world who do not identify as Indigenous, we've included a link that you can use to learn the name or names of those who have tended the land you occupy since time immemorial on this slide. We will also place that in the chat after this slide. But we want to ask everyone to take a moment to center yourself before we begin our statement of land acknowledgement. As an organization of students at UW-Madison, a land grab institution, the BIPOC Coalition recognizes the place we inhabit and organize upon as stolen Ho-Chunk land, a place the Ho-Chunk people have called Dejok since time immemorial. As students, we understand that we benefit from our university sales of stolen Indigenous lands and from its investment in fossil fuels that endanger Indigenous lands across the world. We commit ourselves to achieving land reparations in Dejok for the Ho-Chunk Nation and will continue holding our university accountable for its continued harm to Indigenous students and Indigenous folks throughout Dejok. Take a moment to name the Indigenous peoples whose land you are joining us from today. To our non-Indigenous and non-Black audience, if you are unfamiliar with the history of the land that you occupy, make a promise to yourself to learn and to understand your own presence as a settler on stolen Indigenous land, shaped by stolen African peoples. Recognize that this land is infused with the knowledge, culture, and seeds of enslaved African peoples. Make a commitment to fighting for reparations for both Indigenous and Black folks in your communities. We want to also take a moment to thank the Indigenous leaders and activists who have led the resistance against Line 3 and pipelines like it, and who have continually fought for Indigenous life. We want to honor them for caring for and advocating for the land and water that sustains us all. Land is life, water is life. Thank you. And then we also want to do a special thank you to Anna Marie De La Rosa from UUSC, who we kind of took a lot of inspiration from and guidance from their land acknowledgement that they gave during an event about Line 3. Just to give a brief overview of the event, so we're going to start off with this presentation from folks at BIPOC Coalition, kind of talking about Line 3, and then Goeden and Alex will kind of speak about their experience and talk about what it's like to be involved in Line 3 and sort of what the pipeline and everything about and what their knowledge about the movement is. And then we will continue with a call to action and talk about how folks can get involved if they want to help stop this pipeline. So just to give an overview of Line 3, it was initially constructed in the 1960s and began functioning in 1968 as a 34-inch wide, about 1,000-mile long pipeline. The current construction was first proposed in 2014 by Enbridge Corporation as a pipeline expansion. If finished, it will transport about 760,000 barrels of tar sands oil with the capabilities of going up to 915,000 barrels per day from Alberta, Canada to Superior, Wisconsin. Adding these it is adding 340 miles compared to the original Line 3 pipeline. So we want to emphasize that this is not an expansion, but this is an expansion, not a replacement. It's also constructed through wetlands, Mississippi River headwaters, Lake Superior, as well as the treaty territory of Anishinaabe peoples. And if you're not familiar with what a barrel of tar sands oil looks like, we're talking about 31,920,000 gallons and up to 38,430,000 gallons of tar sands oil. So it's a significant amount traveling across. And then this is just some images to show you the current pipeline. That's here on the image on the left, the Enbridge Line 3 impact on treaty resources. It shows you treaty territories in the light green, as well as reservation land in the more turquoise. The current existing corridor in black and the red corridor in the new pipeline that will be going in if, again, construction is completed, as well as wild rice lakes, as well as the other map showing kind of the different headwaters and as well as different state forest lands, so the different wetlands and forest areas that will be affected if this pipeline is completed. And then I'm going to also talk about the treaty rights violations from Line 3. So we have that Anishinaabe have inhabited the Great Lakes regions for 80,000 years. Treaties are often ignored, and this is a pattern of continued erasure and colonization of Indigenous peoples. There's this thing called usufructuary rights, which the Anishinaabe or Ojibwe people have retained rights to use ceded territory. We put ceded in quotation marks to kind of indicate the fact that folks were forcibly removed, coerced, or threatened with violence in order to cede these lands as well. So these rights include the rights to hunt, fish, gather, cultivate wild rice, and preserve sacred and/or culturally significant sites. So with the existing Line 3 as well as the new corridor, we're kind of looking at violating the treaties of 1854, 1855, and 1867. In 1999, the Supreme Court actually upheld Anishinaabe rights in Minnesota versus Millie Lax about these usufructuary rights on land ceded in the 1837 White Pine Treaty. This was then said to apply to the 1855 treaty, which is again the territory that we're looking at in this map up above with the new corridor for Line 3. This also shows the different reservations as well as the entire treaty territory that this pipeline is sort of running through and will be affected by if it again is completed. And then I just want to mention a quote from Tara Huska talking about treaty rights. She says, "Look at all those pipes that they have brought into the state illegally. They should not be on these lands. These are Anishinaabe lands in 1854 treaty territory. Our treaties should be followed. Our treaties must be followed. Our futures matter." And now I'm going to pass it to another member of the BIPOC Coalition.
Hi, so I'm going to take over for this part and talk about the environmental impacts of this pipeline, because obviously that is a huge factor in this as well. As Megan already said, Line 3 is a tar sands pipeline, and tar sands are a combination of clay, water, sand, and a thick, extremely dense crude oil called bitumen. And tar sands are extremely inefficient because they are the most expensive and most difficult form of oil extraction that we have currently. And it's also the worst for the environment to extract because you need to, in a sense, pump hot steam into the ground in order to extract the oil. And so it's very time consuming, energy consuming for not a lot of product. And also just in general, fossil fuels are a dying industry. Major oil companies are withdrawing investments in tar sands pipelines because the benefit is just, and the reward is just not worth the risk and the investment anymore. Additionally, tar sands are extremely difficult to clean up, notably more difficult than regular oil just because of the clay and the water and sand. It pollutes the environment to a higher degree and also makes it hard to extract the oil from the water. Line 3 also crosses 227 bodies of water, including the Mississippi River twice. So that's extremely high risk as well because of how far north it is. It has a huge potential to pollute the water downstream and just completely ruin multiple ecosystems within the Mississippi River. And finally, and this is a crazy statistic, but Line 3, when it is completed and in use, would contribute more to climate change than Minnesota's entire economy. And bringing Line 3 into use is the same equivalent of bringing 50 new coal plants online, which is not great either. And so to give a more in-depth overview of how these tar sands are getting to Superior, Wisconsin, which is the end destination of Line 3. Alberta's tar sands lie beneath boreal forests. And so these trees, in addition to what they have to clear to drill for the pipeline and things like that, the trees that are above the tar sands themselves have to be cleared. And so then they do the situ mining, which I mentioned earlier, which is when they pump hot steam underground. So along with the impacts of the pipeline itself, you're going to see devastating impacts of deforestation in addition to the harm caused by the oil extraction. And additionally, Line 3 has already had several frac outs, which is the unintentional return of drilling fluids, which is essentially a really nasty combination of mud and chemicals to the surface during horizontal directional drilling, or HDD, which is what they use to basically lay the path for the pipeline. And so there are 21 bodies of water that could be potentially affected by HDD that Line 3 would cross. And so there's a super high risk of ecosystem pollution. And additionally, there have been several unmitigated frac outs that have been actually discovered by water protectors and not discovered by Enbridge themselves, because obviously they're not doing a good job or even their job at all at trying to make sure that the environment is protected here. And additionally, since Line 3 is an expansion, Enbridge plans to abandon completely the existing pipeline infrastructure, which is already experiencing corrosion and long seam cracking. And so that leaves the potential for increased water contamination along with the construction. And so just to give a good picture of what I just described, this is a diagram of how tar sands extraction works. So as you can see, the oil gets pumped up while the steam gets injected into the ground. And so that is how that whole process works. And so just to give a little bit of a background on the Enbridge Corporation, they're an international pipeline company that's headquartered in Calgary, Alberta. Since 2002, they have spilled 2.8 million gallons of hazardous liquids, which is extremely concerning, especially considering that they are also responsible for the largest inland oil spill in the US to date. That was back in 1991 near Grand Rapids, Minnesota. And since 2010, they have paid $248 million in fines, almost exclusively for breaking environmental regulations, which is concerning because it just shows that they don't really care about the environment. As long as they have a constant source of income, they're able to just, pay their way out of it and continue construction and continue these bad practices. And then finally, Enbridge also claimed that Line 3 would create over 4,000 local jobs. But in reality, only about 33% of Line 3 workers are even from the state of Minnesota at all, which is negatively impacts the local economies, but also local Indigenous populations, which we will get into more later in the presentation. And then finally, Line 3 is a huge example of regulatory capture, which is when public institutions abandon public interest in order to serve private enterprises. Just an example of this, 68,000 people submitted public comment in regards to Line 3, and 94% of those comments were in opposition, and yet this project continues. And this is also shown by the way that Minnesota Public Utility Commission refused to hold public hearings on Indigenous reservations that would be directly affected by this pipeline. And just the bottom line is that fossil fuels aren't a sound economic investment, period, especially not tar sands. And investing in renewable energy would create many more jobs and would be a much more sustainable investment for our future. And it just doesn't make sense why this pipeline is allowed to continue.
Okay, and then for this next section on here, we're going to kind of be talking about the ways that the issue of Line 3 is an intersectional issue. When we talk about intersectionalism, I know a lot of times people think about the ways in which, for example, women of color are impacted by things, and we'll kind of talk about that specifically to the pipeline here in a minute. But we wanted to make sure, because unfortunately, in the world that we live in, something as big as Line 3, a lot of people just don't care because they don't see how it impacts them. And so one thing that we really wanted to work on was figuring out, well, how can we show people that are really down for other movements like prison abolition, like environmentalism, like, women's rights and things of that nature? How can we show them that this is an issue that ties into something that they believe in or something that they fight for? And so we kind of picked a couple of topics. First, we're going to talk about how it relates to abolishing the prison industrial complex. So if y'all follow Unicorn Riot has done some really intense research and some really amazing journalism about how this pipeline specifically is utilizing the police. So for many of you, you may remember the Dakota Access Pipeline fight. What we saw with the Dakota Access Pipeline fight was like insane and severe brutalization of Indigenous folk and allies at the Dakota Access Pipeline. So similarly to that, after the Dakota Access Pipeline happened, the officers that were involved in like the decision-making processes and everything at that time kind of formed a group and became specialists for how to handle water protectors at pipelines. And what that looked like was like a lot of insane brutalization. And we're seeing how that's impacting the way that Enbridge has been working. So as you can see from the slides, Enbridge has been reimbursing police forces for officers' hours and equipment. What this basically means is that the Enbridge Corporation is directly paying for police to brutalize water protectors. So we're looking at mass expenditures on things like riot gear. So tear gas, pepper spray, rubber bullets, things of that nature. This is called the Northern Lights Task Force. If you look up Unicorn Riot, Northern Lights Task Force, you'll see some information more about that in articles. We'll link articles. We'll also talk to you all at the end about like a resource drive that we have that you can use to, you know, figure out how you can get more involved, more education, things like that. So another thing to touch on is the fact that folks are being held in jails all across northern Minnesota. And we say across northern Minnesota, what we mean by that is with the Northern Lights Task Force. I believe off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that it's 13 different counties are involved in the Northern Lights Task Force. And this means that they do what I always like to call the bastardized version of mutual aid. So they provide officers to different areas. And so they've been coming up, if you're familiar with Minnesota, from like the southern area near the Twin Cities. So like from Anoka County, and reminding folks that aren't familiar, this is happening all the way up in northern Minnesota. So they're being sent, you know, you could be on a bus after you get arrested for 3 hours going out to a county further away so that it's harder and they disperse you more. Bail has been set as high as $6,000, and this always comes with conditions. So for those of you unfamiliar with the process of being arrested and being released on bail, sometimes you have conditionary bail. So what that would mean is that the court would set something in place where if you violate the terms of your bail, you're going back in basically. So folks qualifying for PDs have not received them or have been dropped by their PDs being public defenders. It's been such an overwhelm of the court system there that we've been seeing that like dropping or people not being able to have resources. So for those of you that are watching that know lawyers that practice in Minnesota and are good lawyers, consider having them donate some time to, you know, protecting water protectors. So recently, within the past couple of weeks, we saw the sort of escalation in the way that the judges in the court system up in northern Minnesota are heading. So Brock was recently convicted of public nuisance and was sentenced to 30 days for a misdemeanor. For a misdemeanor of this charge, normally a person would get sentenced to the cap of 15 days, which is this 30 is double what the state normally recommends. The next part that we want to talk about is how it intersects with people that are really strong fighters for women, for feminism, for femfolk. So we want to talk a little bit about missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. So for those of you who aren't aware, Indigenous women face murder at a rate 10 times the national average. This comes from a colonial legacy of violence. So when we're thinking about this, we have to think about the ways in which those that colonized this country, white colonizers specifically on what so-called United States, we'll call it Turtle Island. But on Turtle Island, you know, that was a very large portion of colonization, unfortunately. And so one of the ways that we're seeing this sort of recurrence of colonization or this new form of colonization is what we call man camps. So when a pipeline is being built, there's an influx of workers that are coming from all around. So when they talk about creating jobs, it's not just jobs for people in the area, it's jobs for people across the country. It's jobs for people, you know, you could live in Florida and a pipeline's getting built in Minnesota, come all the way up there. And with that, that means an influx of people living in towns now. So man camps are temporary living spaces for non-local oil and construction workers. So it's often associated with large increases in violent crime, increase in like drug sales, especially in sexual assault, unfortunately, and local sheriffs and things of that nature. Because there's so many new folks coming into the area, they get overwhelmed with the amount of calls coming in. And so a lot of things unfortunately slip through the cracks. There's a lot of jurisdictional confusion, we can call it, or purposeful negligence on the parts of the courts, where according to Oliphant versus Suquamish Indian tribes in 1978, authorities cannot be certain which law enforcement arm can take the lead on pursuing a crime. So what this means is when you're on reservation land, there's different jurisdictions that apply there. And so if, say, sexual assault happens on indigenous lands, on treaty lands, on lands that are considered reservations, there's this kind of confusion as to who can actually, unfortunately, like look into it and investigate. And so a lot of times we see this like increase in no one knowing what happened. So reports of sexual assault and harassment to a local nonprofit have increased since Line 3 construction began. 2 workers were actually arrested in a human trafficking sting in February and another 2 in July. In the grand scheme of when people talk about how many jobs that creates for pipelines and whatnot, that there's going to be like an increase in people. So 4 people out of however many people isn't that many. And that's a really disgusting thing to like negate it down to, that we are not, the sacrifices that are required of folks to build pipelines goes beyond not caring about the future of your land. It goes into not caring about the people that have tended to that land since time immemorial. And we really have to do better at making people understand how other ways these pipelines kind of infect the earth beyond just that. So the former program specialist for National Indigenous Women's Resource Center, has this really great quote. This is a graphic again about missing, murdered Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit, femfolk. So they treat Mother Earth like they treat us, they treat women. They think they can own us, buy us, sell us, trade us, rent us, poison us, rape us, destroy us, use us as entertainment, and kill us. I'm happy to see what we are talking about, or that we are talking about the level of violence that is occurring against Mother Earth, because it equates to us women. What happens to her happens to us. We are the creators of life. We carry that water that creates life, just as Mother Earth carries the water that maintains our life. So I'm happy to see our men standing here, but remind you that when you stand for one, you must stand for the other. And we wanted to kind of include that quote to make it, because I can sit here and I can tell you all of these things, but I'm not Indigenous and it's not my words to say and it's not my story to tell. One of the main reasons why we even did this like teaching in the first place is because we recognize that we have taken a lot of time and built a lot of trust in the community over the past year since we've existed, not even a year. And we've created this platform, and it's important for us to talk about this and to give a platform to folks like Alex and like Gwedan Ndjinikaze, just to make sure that their stories are being heard to an audience that may not have known about the issue beforehand. So without further ado, I'm sure this is the reason why most of you are here, because it's the reason why I'm here. So I'm really excited to talk about tonight's panelists. We have some very brief introductions. We'll give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of just talk through, some questions. If you guys have questions, please feel free to leave them in that commentary, in that chat. We have moderators that'll be looking through. They'll send us some questions, and we'll make sure to get things out to the panelists. But for the first panelist that I'm going to be introducing, we have Alex Goldenwolf. For Alex's bio, I'll read it, let them introduce themselves. So hello, I am Alex Goldenwolf. I grew up in northern Minnesota. I'm from the White Earth Nation. My clan is the Wolf Clan. I've been in this fight for 2 years now, living on the front line for 1 whole year. I had to give up my old job in order to stop this pipeline. This is my life now, and I've never been happier. So Alex, if you would like to take a second to, kind of give any more introduction to yourself, feel free to.
Yeah, so I like the introduction says I gave up my old job and my old life in order to to work on the front lines and just to live there. And it's been a really hard struggle because it's just like you don't really get like a good break from like being on the front line because it's constantly with you whenever you just go into like a town or a city, because you just like carry that like burden with you, knowing that like this tar sands is like being built. And after I got violently arrested, I was trying to take some time to myself, and I just felt like bad, like just like being gone from the front lines. It like really means a lot to me to like be there and like to like live there. It really like deepens my connection to the earth and my surroundings around me. And yeah, I just want to say that like it's just like you just carry that burden with you when you leave the front line, and it's really hard to think about because like it's always in the back of your mind. It doesn't leave. It's there. Anyways, thank you for the introduction.
And then get back to sharing my screen so that we can introduce the next panelist we have. Okay. So for our next panelist, we have Gweden Indigenakaz. Gweden is an Ojibwe man from Leech Lake Nation. He is a 19-year-old water protector and college student and overall wonderful human, and we're so happy to have him here. If you want to do any more of an introduction now, feel free to. We'll put you back up on the screen and then we'll get into the first questions.
Can all of you hear me? Yeah, I suppose I'm off mute. Buju Giwaden Indigenakaz Makwa and Dundame, Gaza Gasqua Jamaica and Dunjaba. Hello, my name is Northwind. I'm Bear Clan. I'm from Leech Lake Reservation, which is here in northern Minnesota. As you read, I'm a college student. I'm studying biochemistry at a university here in Minnesota. That's a little bit of private information, but I'm just so happy to be here sharing space with all of you and sharing space with Alex Golden Wolf, who I just absolutely adore, Buju. We got to see each other soon. Yeah, that's all I really have to introduce for myself right now. Let's do this.
All right, so for our first question, and you both kind of talked about this a little bit, but just I can like give you pushing prompts and whatnot. So tell us, any more about yourself that might have come up now that you've heard the other person speak and have new ideas about what to say. And then kind of tell us about your involvement in the movement to stop Line 3. So I know like we talked kind of about like that you've been living at camps, that you've been doing stuff like that, but maybe just talk about something that you're really passionate about doing while you're at camp. Really take this however you want, kind of pass it back and forth between the two of you so that you can have a nice conversation without us interrupting it.
Yeah, I'll start off. One of my very favorite passions at camp actually is making art. Actually, it's a really deep passion of mine. Like in general, I've been making art since I was a little kid. Ever since I could remember, is like one of the first things I would do is like draw. So like a way that I pursue my passion while at camp is actually making like digital art, like sacred geometry and stuff. It really, I don't know. That's the way I like to express myself, is through art, and like going through that. I do a lot of expression. That's how I show my emotions, just through my art. My art teacher taught me that. Love her. She's great. Thank you, art teacher. Anyways, yeah, that's one way I like to connect and pursue my passion. Another passion of mine is like reconnecting with my culture and my language. Actually, I'm busy learning Ojibwe Moan right now, and it's been really hard because like I'm always like moving and on the move. But like, I actually made like a cute little like notebook thingy with like words, and I like draw the animal or like what the word means, so then I can like really like correlate it. And yeah, and actually Graydon like showed me some like really cool Ojibwe words and stuff a while ago. I'm still working on those words. But yeah, that's some of my passions that I really like to do actually.
We'll have to do some more language teachings and learning.
Yeah.
We're with each other next. And that's partly one of my passions when I am up north on the front lines, because I do want to make the distinction that I am not there 24/7 like Alex Goldenwolf is. I have moved away for school from my reservation, and that's where I am like for 4 days of the week, and then I try to come up on the weekends or something like that. And that way, when I do things like that, I try and help out with the chores that people don't really want to do, like maybe doing dishes or taking out garbage or moving things around, just so it lifts that burden off of those who are there full time. But yeah, so I was just gonna say that I'm very passionate about sharing culture and sharing language, and that is something that I've been trying to do a lot more of, just to be able to get comfortable with that. Yeah.
I love that. It's so nice. I love culture. For me, reconnecting with my culture at camp, actually, for me personally, healed a lot of trauma that I've been like dealing with like the past couple of years now, and like being at Camp McEasy really like opened me up to like me being like two spirit and like honoring that. Like I'm two spirit, I go by they, them, she, her, he, him. Actually, it took me a long time to like come to terms with that actually, but being at Camp McEasy helped me like find my connection, and it's like been healing, very healing. It's a very beautiful place that like Tasia has created for like young BIPOC folk, and they just like come in and they just like there's so much passion when new people come in. Like I love meeting new people at camp, and it's like that's like another passion of mine, is like talking to the new people and like connecting with them and hearing their stories, because like everyone's story is like it matters on the front line, because it's not just like about like what Tasia says, it's not just like idolized culture, like, oh, it's just like my fight, like it's everyone's fight, you know, like this pipeline like affects like everyone like within Minnesota, but everywhere south. So like I take like the time out of my day to like actually like sit there and listen to like people who come in, because like that to me means a lot, because like I like to like also like share the stories like when they come through. Like I met this homie from like Maine, actually a couple people from the East Coast, which is really cool, because like my people are actually originally from the East Coast, and it's really nice because they talk about how beautiful the landscape is and like how gorgeous it is, and like they actually extended the invitation to me to like go out there, and like I really want to do that. I really want to go to the East Coast, because like that's where my people are from, and that's where we migrated from. So like I want to go and visit like my original homelands, you know, like I think that'd be fun. But like I think a good passion is talking to people. I don't know. Yeah.
Totally. Going on that like reverse migration from here in Minnesota all the way to the East Coast, following the Great Lakes, would be a beautiful thing to just do, to be able to fully connect with the land, and then understand how even here, as we're occupying this land, we have ancestral homelands out east.
Yeah.
But looping back to what you said about how this isn't just an Indigenous issue, it's a world issue, and it's also like a Mississippi issue, because 18 million people rely on the water from the Mississippi River. And so we're the headwaters of it here in Minnesota. So anything up here is gonna affect everyone downstream. And it's like through the whole continental United States. So the thing that I'm thinking is 18 million people rely on the Mississippi, and we do not have even like half 0.5% of that number here on the front lines, which is like something I'm hoping would change as soon as like summer came from that winter transition. But I don't know, have you noticed that, Alex?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I noticed that there's like I just wish there was like more people like here on the front line because there's like not that many people on the front line. There's like people who come here like on and off, which is great. We need that support, but like I think we need like other people who are like really dedicated to this work, you know, and like that's like why I literally quit my job and gave up my old apartment in my house, or not a house, like my old living, I guess. Because like I realized that like you can't just like come on and off and like go back to like this fossil fuel industry while like continuing to support the front line. Like it's not like this or that, but it's more along the lines of like being more dedicated to being on the front line. So like I made that like dedication and I made that like point in my head that like I need to do something about this. And like me sitting at home on my couch isn't doing anything but the pipeline. It's not going to stop it. It's not going to like it's not going to do anything. Like sharing it, yes, that helps, but like actually physically being there and like showing your support and just like standing in solidarity is like what we need. And that to me is really amazing, actually, when somebody like actually like takes their time out of their day or like months out of their like life and just dedicate it to the front line. Like whether it's just like I don't know, it doesn't matter how long, like as long as you're there, I think that's beautiful. And I think we need more people to frontline because like they're almost done. Like they finished all the water crossings actually a couple days ago. I just got that news. Like that's news to me. So that's really striking that not a lot of people are actually on the front line versus like in the winter time. I noticed like it's like the dynamic is like I don't know. I just wish we had more people on the front line. That's all. I'm sorry. I just keep ranting.
No, you're good, and I totally like agree with most of that. Like during the winter, there were people here, and it was really cold. And you would think as soon as like winter passed and it switched seasons to summer, that there would
Yeah.
be a whole mass of people here on
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. You know, that's exactly what I was expecting, but it wasn't like that. It was like the complete opposite. They all just like ran away. I'm like, okay, bye. Like, I don't know. It's just like there were people that came in the winter that came back, which is cool. I love that. Like people from Maine, those guys are awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who have like came and like moved into some of the camps and just like because there's five or six or something like that camps all along the pipeline route, right? Like 300
Mhm.
miles of pipeline through northern Minnesota, and each like stopping point or not even stopping point, but like along that route there is like encampments like the Red Lake
Yeah.
Nemaywag, Shell City, which is the one that I like frequently have been going to just because it's a little bit closer. And that one is a little bit more of a culture camp because there is varying degrees of like roles for people in the movement. And so
Mhm.
for myself, growing up on the reservation and in poverty and all of these things, it there's only really one way in the society that we're kind of in that we didn't build ourselves, that we were just born into.
Mhm.
Sometimes we have to play into certain like systems that are in place. And so for myself, going to school, I am getting like funding from the federal government and stuff, and that has like really helped me out. And if I was to transition from the green role that I'm in into like a red role that would like be risking arrest, I would lose all of that, and I wouldn't be able to break that cycle of poverty that I've been in. And so it's kind of like that, like, well, this is important, but this is also important. Like they're all important, but it's hard to find which avenue to go on without like hurting yourself in that decision. I don't know if that makes sense or if I'm just ranting, But yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense because there are actually a lot of like college students who do come to the front line and they can't risk arrest. And I completely understand that. And like, I'm not asking you to, nobody's asking you to, like maybe some people, but you know, but I honestly don't expect people to like throw themselves to the front line as soon as they get here. Cause like, that's not what it's about. It's like more about like, showing up in solidarity and like you said earlier, like you come to the front line and you like pick up garbage and you like do dishes, like it's like very simple things like that that help around camp because like us people who actually live at camp, like we take on a lot of like responsibility and a lot of burden and a lot of like stress and like mental health here is like it's okay but like it could be better. And like when people come in and like help with like the dishes and taking out trash or doing water runs, like that actually takes a lot of stress off of us because like then we don't have to like focus on that and we can just like focus on like you know action planning or like protests and stuff like that. It actually helps out a lot. Like in a couple of camps there's actually like kids like running around, like so like child support's like always needed like at Camp McEasy and stuff. But yeah, it's just like there's more than just like one role than just like going and throwing yourself on the front line. It's great like if you want to do that, but like like there's people who are uncomfortable with that and like you don't need to like do that. If you feel uncomfortable, just like come show up, and if you can't physically be there, like share and like share like the information, like tell your friends, like tell your boss, like tell your family, you know, like don't just like share it to like Instagram, like actually have that conversation with your family because like a lot of people like don't actually realize what is actually happening up over here. And another like scary fact is like yeah like millions of people along the Mississippi, but like another major fact is like it like is the 1/5 of the world's fresh water is over here. That's a lot of water and that's a lot of like yeah. And it's actually like if you take one like take that out while we're in a drought, like that is just like that's a no-go. Like I am completely baffled by the fact that like like people aren't more shocked by these like facts, you know, like it should be like a wake-up call, you know. And like I feel like really sad when people like oh like I'll send you money but it can't come, like and like they like donate, which is great, but like what if you just like use that money and like took that money for yourself and just like got yourself up here for like a week or two, or like use your like PUT, like your paid time off, like use your paid time off and like come up here, you know, like anything helps because like this is like it's close to the end but it's far from done, you know what I mean? So yeah, thank you.
As long as there's no tar sands that's like flowing through line 3, there is like time to stop it. And even if there is tar sands flowing through it, we can still shut it down. That's been done, I think, for a few other pipelines like across Turtle Island. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you that there are many different avenues for people to help, whether that's texting PUCGE to 50 whatever that was, where like it had a resist bot there that was sending letters to your state representatives and stuff, which was like very good work, getting trying to get legislators to listen because we know how like they operate and how there is all of that bureaucracy and like corruption and stuff. So yeah.
It's a lot of hard work. We need everyone.
Just to move us to the next question, because we kind of started to talk about it, was like in your experience and what has been the largest obstacle in the fight to stop line 3? You don't want to talk about that.
I think it was we probably touched base on that in the first round, but it was like getting people out here, right, Alex?
Yeah, literally that's like an obstacle for me is like getting people out here. I've actually personally been reaching out to a couple of like my friends from like the cities and like everywhere else that I know, like just connections and like trying to get them out here. I actually have like a friend coming up, which is great. It's kind of cool. And then like I know that a lot of people like from TikTok and on Instagram like hit me up about coming to Line 3. And I just direct them to the Camp Meek Easy Facebook page because like I don't feel comfortable giving out the camp locations due to like infiltrators, which has happened in the past. So that's another reason why like I'm kind of hesitant to like invite people from like the internet. But like if you like fill out the like jot form for venting, it takes a minute for I don't know, like for it to like be processed through the venting form, which you can find on stopline3.org. Actually, they have it in their link, I believe, and maybe on Honor the Earth. I'm not too sure. I haven't really checked up on that, but yeah, one of the biggest obstacles is getting people up here. It literally is. It really is, and that part is like I'm still trying to figure out how to get people up here faster and like more efficient and there's a lot of like BIPOC individuals who are from the South that actually don't have like the funds to come up here and like they want to come up here and show their support, but they're like poor, like they don't have money, you know, and they want to come up here and like like there's a lot of like allies that come through and like I just want like more BIPOC people. Like I want to invite them up here and want to bring them up here because like they're a part of this fight and they should be a major part of this fight. Like we should stand arm to arm together, you know, with our BIPOC family, but they don't have the accessibility to actually come up here. And like that really hurts me because like I want to help support them by like going down to the cities, but they can't come up here when like events are going on and like we need to like make that more accessible to like BIPOC people. I feel like and that's another big struggle.
Yeah, like maybe getting someone to create some kind of like Google Doc or like web page for BIPOC specifically who need some type of mutual aid
Yeah.
to be able to get out here, whether that's like buying them plane tickets or bus tickets or ride shares. Like just I think like last weekend or a few days ago, there was Pride for either South Dakota or North Dakota. And I'm not sure what the numbers were for how many people were there. But if people can go to that, they can definitely come here to Minnesota along the pipeline route and like help because Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, like it's really not that far.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. But, and then it's also that fine line of understanding that like, or not understanding, but like just grounding yourself in knowing that people like have families or they maybe like one of my good mutuals on TikTok, Diamond Dog. Never mind. I won't say what, but like I'll give another scenario where they're maybe having family health complications and they have to like be there for that to support their family in that way. But yeah, so it's definitely not like a binary. There's lots of exceptions and lots of like ebb and flow.
Yeah, there really is a lot of flow. And sorry, something's just happening in the background. My friends, I don't know. Anyways, yes, I think there should be like accessibility for like BIPOC people to come up and like if yeah, I think we should like make like a forum or something like on Google and like try to help those like BIPOC individuals like specifically because like I feel like they could be like a very significant part of the fight and like actually like help us like a lot. And I think they would be like a great ad. Like I don't see too many BIPOC folks up here actually, and that's kind of like devastating to me. But I'm starting to see a little more and more. And to me, this is like a sign of the seventh fire prophecy, like coming true of the Rainbow Tribe. coming together, which is like awesome and amazing because we need the Rainbow Tribe to come together. If you guys don't know the Seven Fire Prophecy, it's the Anishinaabe or Ojibwe people's story of how we like migrated from the East Coast to northern Minnesota, Canada territory actually, and yeah, it's just like our story of how we got here, and like within the Seventh Fire Prophecy, specifically the Seventh Fire, it speaks of the Rainbow Tribe coming together, to yeah, it just speaks of us coming together, and I see that happening more and more often than not, and that to me is beautiful because there's another prophecy down south. I forgot what nation it's from, but it's from southern, kind of by like the Arizona area. But in their prophecy, it says that the Rainbow Tribe is going to go down south and help them. So like that's a part of the prophecy. I don't know. It's kind of cool, but yeah, we need a Rainbow Tribe to get together. It's going to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, I can jump in with our next question here, which is, in times of struggle, who or what has helped you to continue resisting the construction of Line 3?
You want to start grading or?
Sure. I didn't want to like butt in if you're gonna.
Yeah, I didn't want to either.
Well, so for me, it's just making sure that the Anishinaabe people, our people, survive and are able to thrive in the future for those 7 generations into the future, to have access to everything we have now, and even more so, like in abundance, and just thinking of those that are yet to come, thinking of what Gitchimani Do has like called me to do, and sort of just that, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, one thing that like really gets me through the fight when I'm down actually is talking circle at Camp McGeezy. Like, to me, like talking circle is like a sacred space, and like you're able to like talk your feelings out essentially. That's one way that like helps me, like keeps me like grounded on the front lines. But also like another thing that like really helps me out is my medicine, like my sage and my sweetgrass, and like just like getting like, you know, like cleansing myself and like my aura, and like just like collecting my thoughts in my tent. Honestly, I think that's like one thing that really helps me, is like thinking about like what happened that day, and like how we can like how I can like make myself better, like react better. And like another person, like a individual that really helps me throughout this fight is Tasia Martineau. She's helped me, or they helped me like grow a lot spiritually and like emotionally, and like they really helped me not give up the fight, honestly, because like their compassion and their like courage really encourages me to like continue on and to like not stop, because like Tasia is like a great leader. Like I've never met I haven't really met anyone quite like Tasia. I'm not gonna lie. Like the way she like just like introduces herself to people, and like, hello, I'm Tasia, welcome to Camp McGeezy, and she's just like welcomes people, and this just doesn't stop, and she does this for her children, or their children. And I find that very beautiful, because like she was just like a person from Fond du Lac who took this burden on, while Fond du Lac approved this like pipeline, and like it's like their children are, you know, and like she has 3 girls, or they have 3 girls, and like 1 in 3, like that's a statistic within Indigenous women. Like MMIW is real, and like seeing her fight and like push on, really like pushes me on to not give up, to like continue the fight on. I get a lot of courage from Tasia. I thank her a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Tasha is just lovely. I could listen to them just speak like all day. They're so
Yeah.
fluent with getting their thoughts out there.
Yeah, she like, or they, sorry, I keep misgendering them. They like speak with such compassion in their heart, like almost every single time. And it makes me really like emotional when she like talks, because she talks from the heart and you can tell like like their voice like literally shakes when they talk, but they continue on because they're just like strong and they know that like the spite is important and like what they say is important and they are important, you know. They're a great person. I love them. Yeah.
And then the last question that we have for y'all, I think both of you have touched on this a little bit, but just in general, how can folks continue supporting the movement both on the front lines or if they are not able to come to the front lines?
Yeah, so well, yeah, we already kind of touched based on that, but sharing it, like talking to your friends and family, coming to the front lines, and if you can't, like donations are great. Like clothing donations, like camping gear donations, like sleeping bags, like food, water, a lot, like everything like helps. Like, but if you can do money donations, do that too. But like physical donations are great. So like maybe like a tent, something simple, even like a gift card to like a gas station, like Holiday gas station, or like a gift card to like a store where we can buy equipment, like anything helps, like honestly, like even gifts, gifting something to an indigenous person, or like just gifting the camp like with like art that you made, or just like gifting people in general, like is a great way to support this front line, because like not a lot of people who live here on the front line have a job or an occupation to like support them here. So like maybe like a little gift is like, oh, here you go, and like people are like, oh my gosh, wow, thank you, like I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah.
Everything that Alex Goldenwolf said and yeah, no, was just completely perfect on how people can like help. So monetary donations if able to, being here if able to, and if that's like what you're called to do. And just like supporting water protectors like Alex Goldenwolf, Tasha Martineau, some of my friends that are at Red Lake Treaty Camp like Ekruna or Ivra, who are like, who have came here from elsewhere or who are here. Just supporting them and others is really important. Not just supporting their basic necessities, but also supporting their leisure and their like their mental health and stuff. So like Alex said, gifts, whether that be like an extra $5 or $10 so that like they can get like a coffee or something, or sending like some board games so that like people can have that time to debrief after a long day, maybe have that in addition to like the circle time that y'all do at Camp Migazi. There are lots of avenues to help, and to be able to find all of those, I would probably say like just follow the Instagrams like Camp Migazi, resist_line_3, Alex Goldenwolf's is we_are living trees, and like Corey. Yeah, there are tons of ways to help, and all help is appreciated.
I'm going to interject with a question from the chat. We had somebody who was a minor ask, if it would be a good thing for them to come up, and we kind of wanted to ask your opinion about what sort of supports, and like if that would be something that people who aren't of age, if they can come to the front lines, or if that is something, in your personal opinions, if that would be something that'd be maybe too risky for either themselves or even for the camps.
I would. Oh,
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, if you are underage, I would try and get a legal adult to come with you, just so that doesn't burden those who are, not that it would burden, but just so it doesn't put those who are at camp in positions that could be a little tricky. Because when you do, and I have to sort of brace myself every time, like I do go up north to the front lines, you have to be ready for like police interaction and things like that, like unsafe situations. Yeah, and so I'll hand it over to you, Alex Goldenwolf.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. Is like if you're like a minor, like just like beware of the police and like make sure like you have a parent or legal guardian there, or even like I don't know, maybe a group of friends if you like get clearance from your parents. I don't know, like if you're like over the age of 17 or like 18 but still a minor, like just like be wary that like yeah, there are like withdrawals being on the front line, like for say being arrested, like that's a withdrawal of being on the front line. And like just like yeah, that's a really major factor. But we do have like kids at camp, you know, like and families, they travel together. There's a family that came from California actually that like stayed at like Red Lake Treaty Camp for quite a bit actually, for probably about a month. So like if you have a family and you want to like convince them to come to the front lines, do so. Because like I don't advise like any minors like traveling by themselves or anything like that, because like I just don't think that's like a good thing to do. I think that's a little too risky. But that's a really good question. Like try to convince like some people that you know to like come with you. Like even if it's like your cool auntie, like convince them to come, you know, or like your grandpa or grandma, you know, get them out there so you can come out and like you can all have like a great experience and bond. So yeah.
Any other questions from the comment section?
Yeah, so we think you've covered most of the questions from the chat, but we do know that folks really want to support you all too. So if you had like Venmos or anything like along that line, or online donations, if you want to mention them, and then also we can find them if they're on your Instagrams, right? That's what y'all said, because then we can also type them into the chat for people to be able to.
I don't think I have mine on the Instagram. Mine is Alex-Golden-Wolf. Or hyphen, I guess. I don't know.
Can I insert a little tidbit of something quickly?
Yes.
I'm not sure how many people are watching this, but like one big thing and another big thing that I just remembered that is really helpful for the movement is if you are barred in Minnesota or can apply to be some legal terms, there is a desperate need for legal attorneys who like specialize in First Amendment violations, personal injury, things like that. So if you are someone who does that or knows someone who does that, who can do it for like discounts or pro bono, please reach out to like someone on the front line, email Honor the Earth, or like fill out that JOT form on stopline3.org. That is like a real desperate need. In addition to like personal accountants who can help with individuals who are on the front lines that are receiving donations, just so that they can help prepare them for like the tax season and stuff. Because I do know some water protectors will probably be needing that expertise. So if you can share your expertise in that way, just so it saves headaches for people in the future, that would be like definitely appreciated.
Specifically.
I think that's a great thing to add, because like there is a need for like lawyers or like professional help. So like if you do know somebody or have access to that, please be willing to share that. Because like not a lot of people on the front lines, like Native Americans don't have that like privilege to do so. You know what I mean? Like we you just don't, and like I'm honored because Winona LaDuke is actually helping me out with the lawyer, which is really nice of her. I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, just like keep in mind that there's other people on the front lines who don't have that access for like a attorney or a good person to help them out for their cases. And like it happens often than not that a lot of people don't actually have an attorney. And like I know a lot of people like still who are like trying to find like public defenders, but like the court system and everything like that has just been like flooded this whole summer. Like there's like a lot of cases, like a lot. Like I can't even tell you how much. Like I could, but like that's just a statistic that like I don't know if it's relevant. It's just like more than you can fathom. It's a lot of people, and there's like not a lot of them have like a good attorney or like have access to that. So like thank you for bringing that up, Kaden.
Mm-hmm.
And just to ask again, Gwen, do you have like a personal Venmo or Cash App? We do want to make sure, I know a lot of folks are asking for it, so we want to make sure we can share it because I know folks really want to support you. Also want to say, boost what y'all said about the legal attorneys, because that is definitely something we know from friends that is a definite need. So
yeah, and so since I am not on the front lines 24/7 like my fellow comrades and Nijis, I wouldn't feel comfortable accepting those like monetary donations specifically. So if you could, if you were the ones who are planning on sending it to me, could you please send it to Alex Goldenwolf or Tasha Martineau or even like Akruna? That would be wonderful. Those that are along the pipeline route, like right now, I think those monetary donations should go their way. But yeah.
Yeah, I think a good person to like send monetary donations to is Tasia Martineau. I don't know how to spell her last name. It's French, I believe. But yeah, it's her name, her Venmo name, and it's the same with like PayPal and I think Cash App. I'm not too sure though. But yeah, Tasia Martineau, I think is a good person to like donate to. She's one of the matriarch leaders of Camp McGeezy, and I had the honor of living there with them. And yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also just wanted to let all of y'all know that it is Menominee Geezes, which is the wild rising moon. That's like what we would keep track of time is using the lunar cycles. And so that basically means that right now, or within the next few weeks, we would be heading to the lakes and the rivers to rice for Menomin or wild rice or the food that grows on water, which is also the big thing that we are trying to protect because it only grows here in North America. And it is so important that we keep it that way because Alex and I's people have been ricing that for hundreds to thousands of years. And we want to keep doing that. I just wanted to show y'all my pipeline-free Menomin, rice from the lakes from Anishinaabe people in the 1835, 1855, and 1854 treaty territories. Yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yay, thank you for that. That's really good information. Another really good information that has actually been kind of bothering me actually. I know this is like relevant, but also irrelevant. There's actually a couple of TikTokers out there that have been slandering Camp McGeezy and Red Lake Treaty Camp. I want to say that all of those accusations are false. And I want to like say that because like one of these TikTokers actually threatened to call they threatened like Tasia in a really like horrible manner, and I just want to stop that and shut it down. I'm not going to name this person due to like privacy and everything like that, but just beware that there is a TikToker, a couple of them actually, that are like saying like in their video, do not go to this camp because of blah 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 blah. And if you've seen that video, it literally states like if you haven't been up north yet or something like that. It's a very like slandering video, and it's actually been affecting like our community up here in the north, and it's just like something that shouldn't be happening. It's just extra drama that's just been added, and nobody at camp is like mean or harsh or anything like that, and it's just like really like tugs on my boat. It just doesn't feel right that these people are like making lies about the front line and what it's like being at camp, because like these particular individuals weren't even at camp for like for say like an hour or so, and they just like yeah, they expected us to roll out a red carpet for them or something. I don't know, like it's just like it really makes me like upset that like people would go off and slander us while we're fighting for the water and for the front, like for like everything, and this person claims to be indigenous, so like they're just like hurting their own people, you know. That's not cool. But yeah, thank you. I just wanted to like make that a point. I don't know how many people are watching, but like just so you know, keep up for those like those evil TikTokers. Don't feed into that nonsense. It's bullshit.
Yeah, that is totally not, it's not irrelevant. It is so important that you and that we get that cleared up, because that directly puts you and the other indigenous peoples there in harm's way. And I don't think that they understand those ramifications, that it's going to be you and Tasha and all of the other indigenous people there that are going to be the ones that are going to be impacted most by that. It's not going to be the white allies that are there. The police are going to be targeting y'all, which is not good at all in any capacity.
Thank you. Be rich, everyone, for joining us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if you guys have any last thoughts or comments that you wanted to share, you should absolutely go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to say Buju to everyone who is watching this, and Buju, India, if you are watching this, I absolutely love you. But yeah, no, I hope to see you, Alex Goldenwolf, on the front line soon. When I'm up there again, I would definitely, I'll be bringing you some Monoman.
Yes. Yes.
Also have a fun Honor the Earth shirt that I'd like to pass on to you. It is a shirt I got that I was gonna wear, but it's like a V-neck and it like goes all the way down here, and it.
Thank you, Meek Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Some last words. I think. Trying to think. Yeah, come to the front line, and if you're a minor, convince like somebody cool to come with you, like an auntie or grandma, grandpa, you know, sibling that's older than you. I don't know, something like that. You know, if you want to come, like, don't let anything stop you. You know, I mean, like, we'll start working on that BIPOC situation to get more people up here, because like I think that's like a very significant thing of the fight. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Miigwech.
Yeah, and miigwech to y'all for hosting Alex and I on this panel. Yeah. All right, is that a wrap?
Oh.
I'm gonna actually include one last little thing just to talk a little bit more about plugging in some of the events that are coming up. But Kat, I will share screen for you.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for coming and speaking. The insights that you shared have just been absolutely phenomenal and much needed, and I think have given super good insight to some of the folks who have been looking to get involved. And that's why we wanted to kind of move into our next sort of section super fast, which is just about like plugging in and how y'all as individuals or as groups can plug in. Several of the things that we're going to mention coming up were actually already brought up by our two wonderful presenters, which is super great. Something that we wanted to emphasize going into this is the fact that there are so many crucial roles, because this is a super powerful movement with a lot of different moving parts to it. So some questions that we kind of wanted to ask to sort of have you reflect on are like, what do you like to do as an individual? Like, what hobbies do you have? What passions do you have? Also, what skills do you have? And how can you shape your interests and talents as an individual into action against Line 3? So some examples are like, if you really like to make art, maybe that means you're making digital art for campaigns, designing or creating banners, doing banner drops, wheat pasting, etc. If you really like to cook, you can cook at frontline camps. Providing food to folks on the front line is also really huge, whether that means you're like literally like baking homed goods in the form of like gifts. Maybe you're making.
I think we can go now.
Yeah, you're totally good. You guys are totally.
Oh, no, I was talking to my friend so I can get in the car. That's it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah. Also, if you have local protests, providing food to folks at local protests can also be a super huge task. If you have medical skills, providing medical aid at protests is huge. Or also giving aid to folks who are returning from the front lines or at the front lines. Like I know some folks who like have been they are chiropractors and came up and gave like chiropractor services to the folks who are fighting at the front lines. They're like acupuncturists who took their practice to the front line to give service to those who have been fighting. So it's really cool things. Also, don't forget the lawyer plug. That one's huge. Yeah. Other ways to plug in. So coming up, there's going to be a Treaties Not Tar Sand Capital Action at the Minnesota State Capitol on August 25th at 2 p.m. For folks who are watching this from Wisconsin, on August 24th, the day before, there's going to be a caravan that is going to get organized to bring folks up from Wisconsin to St. Paul. So if you've been trying to find a way to get involved and you really want to go up and you really want to do things, this is going to be a super cool opportunity to be able to jump in and be able to do that. This is not the front lines necessarily in terms of like literally being up north, but it is front lines in terms of like really bringing this fight to the Capitol, to Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, and straight to the governor's doorstep, because at the end of the day, the governor is still allowing this pipeline to get built, and that is an issue. Other ways is like directly going to the front lines. Like folks have been doing throughout the summer, every camp is a little bit different. There's several up there. And so we would really encourage to take the time and energy to find the right fit for what the camps are, because a lot of the camps operate just a little bit differently. And also something we really, really wanted to emphasize is like, if you go up, you have to be willing to follow and respect Indigenous leadership. It's just not good practice to go up into these spaces and to just sort of like, I kind of like what Alex mentioned, like expect a red carpet to get rolled out, or to sort of like, even if you have a lot of knowledge and you want to share that knowledge, like find a way to do that respectfully. And because like a lot of the folks who are up there like already have been doing this for a while, like know a lot of things, have a lot of knowledge, have a lot of like strategy built up, have had put a ton of time into this. So making sure that you're respectful of the time and energy that has already been put into this fight if you go up. There are also a ton of websites, ride shares, etc., that can help you plan and get up north, that can be found on websites like Honor the Earth, like stop3.org. Yeah. And then this is something that we also just wanted to highlight. This is a super good way to stay plugged in digitally. So if you wanted to like screenshot this, anything like that, these are super good accounts to follow. These are all Instagram accounts, but I'm pretty sure they're going to translate pretty closely to things like Twitter and Facebook as well. Maybe even TikTok. But these are really good accounts to just sort of like be seeing those daily updates about actions, about asks for the community, about mutual aid efforts, And also about sort of like updates about like if Enbridge is pulling is acting in ways that aren't great. I mean, we know they aren't, or like police forces up there, but like if they're doing anything, like that's a good way to also kind of keep an eye on that, and just sort of stay plugged in to the people who are up there and doing the work every single day.
Okay. I guess we can just leave it on. Yeah, we don't need to use the slide right now. That's fine. Yeah, so I guess we're gonna kind of wrap up here. I do want to say for everybody that's watching, I know I've said it in the chat a couple of times. We will be posting a resource folder. Inside the resource folder, we will have everything from, you know, ways to get involved to art to a bunch of other like different action items, more information about events as we pick out some, or as we find some more information specifically in terms of like, for those of you that were asking about whether or not there were going to be places to donate for funds to get BIPOC folks up there. We're definitely going to look for those, and we'll keep updating those resource guides. For everybody that hasn't been to the front lines yet, but has time, please do your very, very best to either get up there or to be sending funds directly up there. For those of you in the coming week, if you're interested, if you're not interested, but you got free time, if you don't got free time and you can make free time in whatever way you can do this, please make it to the Capitol on the 25th. We're going to be welcoming the water protectors that have walked all the way from northern Minnesota down to the Capitol. We're going to be having an event. We'll talk about, you know, education possibilities there. It's really going to be a beautiful community building space, and we're all really excited. So please come out. We'll have more information being posted about that in the next coming days. With COVID and everything, please make sure to wear a mask. Also be respectful when you're going up to the camps. Always make sure to get tested for COVID before you go up. Make sure to isolate before you go up. If your COVID test comes back positive, obviously stay home. Do not infect the folks up at the camp. There are elders at these camps, and it's also the most colonizer thing you can possibly do is to get infected with a disease and then bring it toward a bunch of indigenous folks. And that's what we're trying to do. The whole purpose of this is decolonization. Don't continue that legacy onward. And thank you all for coming out. Sorry again about all of the tech issues. We worked it out last night and then we tried starting it. And if you've ever been to a BIPOC Coalition event before or know anything about us, something always goes wrong and it always starts a little bit later than what we were hoping for. But again, thank you guys so much for coming out. We'll have more information coming for you in the coming days about other ways to get involved.
Thank you.